Hey YouTubers, my name is Valeria. Welcome to my new. Oh, shut up. Wait, we didn't discuss the name. I wanted to call it cut please. I want to call it unscripted. Hello YouTubers, this is Unscripted with Valeria. Guys, I'm back. But today I'm taking it easy in the comfort of my own room, as you can see. I'm not wearing any makeup because of the heat, and I cannot take my videos outside today because of the wind. I'm trying to improve the quality of my videos as well. So today we are talking about a mental disorder, right? I had promised that we will talk about depression. Depression is affecting a lot of people, especially in black communities, because we do not talk about it. I remember when I had my own challenges with depression and anxiety, I couldn't talk to my family because they did not understand what was going on with me. There were mood swings, I was not motivated. I wasn't the happy Val that my family knew. So our black families are actually struggling with having to adjust to people with mental disorder, and it affects a lot of academics as well, as we saw with Prof. Mayosi. May his soul rest in peace. So what exactly is depression? Depression is a mental disorder, right? It is characterized by elevating and sometimes even depressing your mood, and it just changes all of your life, in the sense that your activities change. You are not as excited as you should be about life. You're not motivated to do anything, and life just becomes exhausting and tiring, and most of the time you just want to die, right? So I'm going to break it down and make it more simpler, because it's a chemical imbalance in the brain between serotonin, dopamine, and the hormone called norepinephrine. I'm not sure whether I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's norepinephrine. The learned people will will get that one. So what happens is serotonin and dopamine, they work hand in hand to keep us happy. But then when depression hits your brain, there's something about the secretion of those hormones that just hits you, and there's an imbalance, and life just isn't what you've always known, and your life changes completely. So I'm going to focus on 7 signs that show that you're suffering from depression, right? So number 1 is every day you wake up and you feel empty. There's this void in the inside of you. You lose meaning to life. I remember when I was having my own depression episode. I just wasn't as excited as I was about life. My friends, they know I am full of life. I am the life of the party sometimes. Not that I can dance or whatever, but I talk so much. And with depression, I lost that. I always felt like there was a hole in my soul. I felt like there was something missing. Depression causes you to feel as if life isn't worth living. So what happens to you is that you become indecisive, right? So you don't know what you really want when it comes to your career, because you feel like you do not measure up anymore. Even with the simplest of tasks, sometimes you don't want to wake up in the morning. choosing even an outfit for the day. You can't, because I mean, you are indecisive. You think, this doesn't look good on me, I don't want to look like this because people will compliment me, I do not want to see people. It's just it's your soul dying, and it's the most saddest experience that anyone could ever experience. So number 2 is you keep overthinking everything, like I said. So with me, it affected me academically, because I was always like a bright student, right? So now my studying was very tiresome, because I got to a point where even if I'd study, I'd keep on second guessing myself. I remember I used to WhatsApp my friends all the time. Did you guys study? Are you ready? Upumza, a friend of mine, I used to call her all the time. Pumza, please help me study 1 2 3 1 2 3. Or Zinhle, I used to call them all the time. It makes you second guess your own abilities, because you feel like you do not measure up. Even if you are excelling, but then there's something in the inside of you that doesn't believe in your abilities anymore. And number 3 is the worst one, because you tend to lose everyone around you because of this. You are not able to figure how loneliness affects you, but there's a part of you that craves it. Number 3 says you don't want to meet or talk with anyone. This is the part where darkness becomes your friend. I remember I used to stay in my room, close my curtains, and be in bed, right? That becomes your reality. My only friend was my phone. The only person I could actually talk to was my best friend, who's actually taking the video now. She was the only one who stayed with me, who tried to understand, even though I was really a burden. But she was the only one who made an effort, at least to try and see what's going on with me, because all my other friends, they just disappeared into thin air. You can't talk about it because you feel like people don't want to hear it, right? So you spend more time alone, you spend more time in darkness. I remember she bumped into me. I was walking to class that day. I had gained courage to actually go to class. I had my shades on, and I looked up, and she was like, "Hey, Valeria," from a distance. And for the life of me, I didn't want to turn, but because it was her, I had to. And I had to take my shades off, and I could see her seeing, the fact that life has been sucked out of me. It's so painful to walk around and people can literally see that you're dying, but you're not really dying. I think depressed people will actually, understand that part. It is so sad, because you have to actively, remind yourself that you're alive. You have to, actively shake yourself up when you are in the presence of people. It's more like you end up pretending, because now your mood has to be up, right? Because people are used to Uguti, Uvel is upbeat. So now I had to keep up appearances. Then you limit going out because of that, because it gets exhausting. You're also exhausted all the time. Okay, so number four is a sequel of number 3, because it says you just want to be alone consistently. You just want to be by yourself. If anyone tries to be close to you, you push them away. I remember I even started like finding bad coping mechanisms, because now your mind is racing, you're in this darkness, you're by yourself, then you start drinking, right? There's someone who actually wrote a piece about depression. I just can't remember her name. I think I saw this on Twitter. She was like, you fall in love with the bottom of the bottle, because that's the only thing you get to know. You just drink so that your mind can relax. then you can be able to sleep at night, right? But then it's just a short relief, because in the morning you have to wake up and everything else starts again. Okay, so number 5 says you always think that you're the worst and everyone is better than you. For high achievers, this destroys your morale. For workaholics as well, this affects you, because I mean your work ethic changes. I used to be a person who likes to read, but after the depression episode in my life, my reading abilities just changed. The level of understanding are no longer the same. It's like you need to reprogram your mind to stay in tune with the world, to stay in tune with what's going on. It's the saddest thing, I keep on saying, that anyone could ever go through, right? So number 6 is that you can't control your emotions. So this directly speaks to your relationships. I remember both the relationships I've had in the past, they suffered because of this. Today you want to talk, tomorrow you can't. You're constantly thinking that your partner is cheating on you. Well, in my case they were, but that's a story for another day. But it just amplifies the crazy in you. You keep on seeing their shortcomings, and you see shortcomings in yourself. Then you don't invest anymore in your relationship. It becomes a burden more than it is a relationship. You want to depend more on your partner, but then you need to do the emotional work on yourself, right? So at that point, you then start feeling like maybe relationships aren't for me, and then you start rejecting all potential partners that actually come into your life, because you get so exhausted. You feel like relationships are a job. You feel like they take from you more than you receive. So I feel like this is the worst part, because a relationship should be your sanctuary, where you find peace, where you find comfort, where you find love. But then with depression, you just can't seem to open yourself up to receive and to enjoy your partner, because you live literally in your head. Number 7, the last one before I tell you guys my story. So you realize you lost interest in everything and everyone, even the one you love the most. This one is the funny one, because it's not really funny, but it just shows you who's in your corner. Well, I always say that that's not a fair statement to say that when days are dark, friends are few. People are literally going through their own problems, so we need to be a lot kinder and a lot understanding that people are actually going through their own things, right? But then it's true, when my days were dark, my friends were literally few. I lost everyone, and it's not a matter of they actively decided that they're leaving my life. I was just exhausting. My presence was exhausting, because every time when I opened my mouth, I'd express how exhausted I am. I'd always feel fatigued and tired and sick all the time. So literally, for I think a period of 4 years or 5 years of my life, that's literally what I said every time I opened my mouth, in a group of friends, whether people are coming to my room to check up on me, when I go home. That's the only thing that I said. I am tired, I am suffering, I am not okay, I am unhappy. We tweet all the time as well. all my tweets are about umgo, if you could just check how I was, So what actually triggers depression? So what happens is we go through a series of problems in our lives, Um, in my case, I had lost my father at the age of 5. Now there's the whole thing of me having my siblings and having my mom. I naturally have like a very strong character, so people naturally just feel comfortable to depend on me, So I guess I was a pillar all my life for my family until I couldn't, you know. Varsity was a trigger for me because that's where my boat started sinking. Everything started tipping over. And, black people aren't big on going to see a psychologist. We aren't big on going to see psychiatrists. We're also not big on, being on medication just to take you back to, the normal person that you were. So when I hit rock bottom, I had lost myself. I couldn't see myself. I remember all the time I used to say, I miss myself. You look at yourself in the mirror and you realize that you're no longer you. You're like an empty shell. You cry all the time. Sometimes you cannot even explain it. You lose the sense of existing. You also lose, the love for life. I remember how fired I used to be, how excited I was about life, and in a split of a second I had lost that, right? So my mother also became my trigger, because all the time when she called me, she would tell me what's going on at home. She would ask me how I am, but now I would stress about how they are and how I am this side, about the fact that there is no middle ground in any of our conversations. So I had to bottle stuff in now and be strong for everyone. But that was killing me, because now I was at a point where I'm carrying others, but I can't carry myself. So what helped me? Why am I back? Because I am back. I consulted, a psychologist. I first started because I felt sick, even physically, apart from, my mental disorder. I felt sick physically, so I decided to go to my GP to lay it all on her, and she referred me to a psychologist. Hi sis Portia, she's amazing. So I have like sessions with her every time when I go home. And then because my type of depression and anxiety needed both, help from a psychologist and help from a psychiatrist as well. So I join the sessions, I go and see my psychologist, and then I go and see my psychiatrist as well. And I am on medication. So what happens with the medication is that it just boosts the secretion of the serotonin that I spoke about in the beginning. And it also boosts the secretion of dopamine and norepinephrine. That's the job of the medication. But then the dirty job and all the nitty gritties that need to be done come from the emotional work that you do yourself, the emotional labor that you also do with your psychologist. The most important thing, guys, is that when you get to your psychologist, do not omit anything. Try by all means to start from the beginning, right? Because depression doesn't happen just simultaneously. One day you wake up depressed. It's a series of events that lead to a point where you cannot exist anymore by yourself. You need to be helped, right? So the best thing about the medication is that if you want to see a difference in your life, you have to take it for a period of 6 months or a period of a year. I feel like it makes a huge difference, but obviously you would have to communicate with your psychiatrist and your psychologist depending on how you've gone with the mental disorder. So I'm going to provide information down below on, you know, the helpline of where people without medical aid can try and get help. Okay, there's an issue as well, a huge issue that we currently experienced as academics, and I feel like it's been happening in a lot of our higher learning institutions where academics do not get, you know, the emotional support that they need. So there was a case of Prof Mayosi from UCT who took his own life. So the reason why I spoke about my own story is because I want you guys not to die alone. Suicide is self-care. I know this is, you know, debatable and very controversial, but then suicide is self-care, because when you're depressed, you are literally dead, but your body is alive. I remember one night I had an anxiety attack in my room. I was sleeping supine on my bed and I was struggling to breathe, you know. So what happened was, as I tried to inhale more air, I felt like my heart started racing and I felt like I was jumping off a cliff. Imagine experiencing that, but you're lying in bed. So let's be more kinder to people that have mental disorders. We need to show them a lot more kindness. They are going through far more than what they're expressing, and we need to, you know, engage people with a mental illness. We need to also include the conservative, which is our parents in this case, you know, to be part of this conversation. Because, you know, in the black families, you have this whole thing when you close yourself in the room, but you know, it becomes an issue of you having an attitude more than it is about, you know, having mental illness. So to our parents, please be more understanding. Go easy on us. Spend more time with us as well. Get to know us. You know, it goes way beyond, you know, providing food for us on the table. It goes way beyond providing clothes. It goes way beyond, you know, being there in the house. Actively talk to your children. Find out what exactly is going on with them, you know. And to all suicidal people, I know, I understand. I've been there. I'm a survivor. Try my way. If you can't, seek other ways. Honestly, my honest opinion is that life is hard. Suicide is self-care. But if you still have the will and the drive and you still want to be alive, seek help. Here in Medunsa, there is a psychology, you know, department that they opened recently. There's a qualified psychologist. Please use those resources. And around SA, I am going to put like details after the end of this video. With that said, guys, live your life to the fullest. try by all means to stay alive. Use all the resources that are available to you and pray. Prayer keeps you alive. Prayer makes you feel like you are, giving the burden to someone else. Send out words into the universe. Although sometimes it feels like you're speaking to a vacuum, but it helps. Until next time, guys, take it easy.